Hey everybody, Mr. Berg here, and yes, art rules. Not in a way like do this and do that, but in a way that makes it wonderful and great and better than other things, even though other things are good too. But this is kind of boring writing. Let's try to make it a little more exciting. Here we go. I'm using a pencil first, okay? I don't have like a plan, I'm not tracing anything. I'm just gonna try to take the word art and the word rules because there's only two repeating R's in there. And I'm just gonna try to make it a little more interesting. So here we go. Lightly sketching out. Now first off, one thing we can think about is how much space we want things to take up on our paper. If we want all capitals, if we want lowercase, if we want the letters to be round or squared, etc. So I'm just kind of nicely sketching out. I've got kind of this pointed R, so I'm going to keep that similar theme here. My U, I don't want to make it look like a V, but I think I want to try to keep it somewhat pointed if I can. R-U-L. Now let's do some sort of an E and an S. Okay, so what we have here is just a very basic light sketch, okay? Now what we're gonna do is try to block out or fill in those letters just with larger shapes and spaces. I've chosen to do kind of pointed corners. You can do round corners if you want. It's really whatever you want. Here's just some ideas to get you going. Let's try to fill these things out a little bit. Let's go. I filled out the word art a little bit, made it a bit thicker, and we'll talk about three-dimensionality in a few minutes. Let me get the rules part. All right, I've kind of filled out art rules. Some overlapping letters, and that's okay for now. I've got a lot of pencil lines on here. I am going to do some erasing in a little bit, but now what I want to do is think about adding some different details. So there's something called a serif, which is a projection off of like a line. For example, like here on the A, let's pretend that this block of the A were to come up here a little bit further, and it kind of sticks off of this side of the A, right? Maybe the part of the R, this line continues over, and it kind of is a projection off of the side of the R. You can even do that by adding little feet onto some of the shapes as well that you've used. Okay, so there's all sorts of little stylistic changes you can make to make your letters a little bit more interesting. Let's take some time to do that. I've added a bunch of different kind of effects and different types of lines on top of it. And once again, I didn't necessarily have this planned out. I'm just kind of feeling it out as it goes, and or as I go through things. So now what I'm going to do is grab a marker and just do the outline so that I can get rid of a lot of my sketching lines in between. Okay, that looks all right. So now I left out the middle of the A and the two R's just because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with those. But I think I'm just going to make them kind of standard. How I had penciled them in. I just want to make sure that my lines, my angles stay somewhat in line with my letters. Okay. Next step, erase the pencil lines. There we go. Art still rules. It looks okay. It's interesting writing. Now let's talk about filling things in. Move this up a little bit. I lost the top of my A there. There we go. Okay, I am going to tie things all together, so I'm going to do a little bit of outlining here, just to kind of tie the things together in kind of a weird bubble. You can add any other effects if you wanted. If you wanted lightning bolts or flames or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to take a minute to do that, and then we'll talk about adding in a gradient, so choosing a couple different colors or shades, and that'll be it. Here we go, quick outlines. I can then also go back through and cut out some of my spaces in between, just to make things a little more interesting, if I wanted to. As I'm doing this, I am potentially making more detail to be colored, and that's okay. The more colorful this image can be, the better. But once I start coloring, I'll definitely have to keep track of where the different letters are and where my different spaces are. Okay, it's turned into a much different drawing than this, hasn't it? It's just been a few minutes. Good stuff takes time. I left out the crown. Rats. Maybe I'll add it somewhere over here. But now we're going to talk about gradient. Gradient is kind of like a value. So going light to dark or dark to light. You can change colors as well. So let's say you have here I have a nice turquoise colored pencil. So let's say that in the letter A, I plan to do kind of this interesting turquoise color. Okay? Maybe I wanted to start off turquoise and gradually get into a light blue. So one thing I want you guys to do, if you have colored pencils, that is, if you don't, you can do the same thing with pencil, is when we're talking about a gradient and colored pencil, a gradient is light to dark. So with a colored pencil, you create light values with light pressure and dark values with heavier pressure. So if I want to start off light and get darker as it goes up to the top, as I'm coloring things in, kind of being careful, I'm just going to increase the pressure gradually and make things darker and darker as I get up towards the top. Let's check it out. We've got a little gradient. Darker, gradually getting lighter, all within a color. Now you can do the same thing from letter to letter. Let's give it a shot. Got the word art. I'm gonna keep working on this, and yeah, we'll show you guys when it's finished. I'd like you to try out creating something that says art rules. It does not have to be like this. Try something else. Have a good time with it. Enjoy yourselves. See ya.